I'm on the way to Portlaoise to interview Nicolas Cruz former Irish national team coach, a guy who I think's had a huge impact and influence on boxing in Ireland over the years, and I think his influence is still felt to this day, that he planted a lot of the seeds. I first would have met Nicolas around the year 2000 when I was training for my first ever international competition, and even then he was an oddity and someone who was very intriguing. There was always this level of curiosity about him and mysticism about him and the way he'd done things, and I guess that was because he was so far ahead of his times. Irish boxers were always known for heart, courage and fighting and having all the things that you couldn't teach. But with Nicolas, he came in to add the extra elements that you need to be a successful international boxer, in terms of the finesse of boxing and the ring craft and the generalship that is needed. With him, he was trying to add the technique to all the things that was already there. Nicolas, thank you for agreeing to do this with us today. Thank you for welcoming us into your home. Just to go back to the start, I guess, when you arrived in Ireland in 1988, what was the landscape of Irish boxing at that stage?
Well, I was in need of a little bit of guidance and showing of skills of how to teach boxing. That was all, because the Irish boxing tradition was there. The fight and the spirit was there. There was no lack of that. There was great determination, both from coaches and boxers. The only thing that was lacking was just the methodology to teach the elements of boxing, the basics of boxing. That was it.
I heard a story, I'm not sure if you remember this, but was there one time when Kieran Joyce came in heavy and you sparred him? At one time, what happened there?
That's very true. We didn't have anybody to match him because he was weighing about 78 kilograms or so. And then the heaviest one that we had there was Billy Walsh, who was only 67 kilograms. So I was not long from being retired from boxing, and I needed to help him. So I stepped in the ring with him to spar, and I said, okay, I only throw body punches, and Kieran Joyce throw body and head punches, and I regret that in the middle of the round because he was actually bombarding, and then it was a heavy shot. He wouldn't take a step back, but I just wanted to prove to him that you could win fights moving backward, and you didn't have to be going forward like a train all the time. So, but he wouldn't take a step back. I hit him with everything I had. And even the other coach, Michael Hawken from Northern Ireland, who was assisting me in the training there, had to step in to control the sparring because it was getting out of hand. I mean, it was amazing. The courage, and it was not only him, all of them, all the Irish boxers, great courage and determination. And, but at that time, when I came here in 1988, that element of tactic, strategy, cleverness in the ring, that was missing.
I'm sure you sparring and displaying it went a long way to change their minds about their attitude, but did you find there was a lot of resistance to that, to having that approach to more finesse of boxing?
Absolutely. And it goes back to the tradition of okay, I'm a boxer, I'm a man, I'm tough, and I'm proving that, I'm making that point all the time. But my point was with them was, and I actually used to say this as a motto, say, okay, make sure you get your hand up at the end of the fight. You get your hand up as a winner, no matter how. If people say, oh, he did this and he did that, and he was looking, at the end of the day, what's the name that goes in the book as a winner? That's what you want to get. So I used to run that by them all the time and said, doesn't matter if you get hurt. Like, for instance, we got Damien Kelly, an amazing fighter from Northern Ireland. He was at the World Championship in Finland in 1993 against a Cuban. He got caught by a body shot, got hit by a body shot, and he went out. After the standing count, he came back up and just went furious forward to fight the Cuban. I said, no. And then the Cuban hurt him again and stopped the fight. and then went back to the dressing room to get a lesson about it. And then what happened a year after, at the World Challenger match in Dublin, he boxed against the same Cuban, and Damien Kelly defeated him. You know, that was amazing. And then I just walked back to the dressing room with his coaches, and I just said to him, now what's next? And I was just meaning by that, now next is the Olympics in 1996. And there he was, a very bit unfortunate. He was, and I knew I needed to be there with him, but you know, that was what's happened at the time with the boxers. They just wanted to be tough, and they were thinking that stepping back, moving backward, that was wrong. You know, there was a lovely fighter, John Lowy from Belfast. It was a 57 kilogram. It was great to see him moving backward boxing, you know. But no, that's it's just, as we normally say, it won't sell tickets. To sell tickets, you got to go forward and throw punches. You know, that mentality, thanks God, has changed now. Now it's about who wins.
You came to Ireland in 1988. What was the reason for you coming at the time? You came to teach in a seminar, and then you ended up staying in Ireland, going back to Cuba, then coming back to Ireland. How did all that come about?
Well, in 1988, there was a friendly match, supposed to be a friendly match between Ireland versus Cuba. So I was one of the coaches with the team, but they already had the Irish Athletic Boxing Association had requested the assistance of a Cuban coach. You know. Before me, there was another Cuban coach here by the name of Todd Mandeli. He was here a year and prepared the Irish team for the World Junior Championship in Cuba in 1987. And I met the Irish team over there, and then I was just lucky enough to be in that team in 1988 and to be selected when the Irish requested for the coach to be appointed to come to Ireland, not only for the competition, but to train the Irish team for the Olympics in Seoul, right? So that was an amazing time, an amazing 4 months here, because it was on May the 4th, 1988, that I arrived here and set foot here in Shannon for the first time. And then I found myself in Galway, the first county outside Dublin, conducting seminars with the coaches about the coaching, you know, how to teach boxing. And and went on to all around the island, and I was amazed at the beauty of the island, the interest and dedication of the fighters, and the friendliness of the people. At the time, it was just like people wanted to get photograph taking with me, because back in 1988 they never had seen a black person around here. So it was some will touch me and say, well, will you get sunburn if you get to the beach? and then it was just unbelievable, you know. And they were trying not to be disrespectful, and I made it clear that, look, I don't mind. I'm a black person, you know. And, you know, because some would call me a color person. I say color, but which color? You know, I'm black, you know, so probably black, you're white, I'm black, so, and all that kind of stuff. So we kind of relaxed, and it was fantastic. It was beautiful, you know. I didn't know how it was going to be like here, you know, and so I was a bit worried when the Cuban team left, and I found myself on my own there in Dublin City. But things got easy very quickly, you know, and that was it. And then when I was asked to come back again in 1989, I did. And then I had to come back twice in 1989. And then
the problem was you were a victim of your own success. Is that right? You were too good.
And I got on well with the coaches, you see. And the other coach that was here before me, a great coach. When I was a boxer, he was a coach. He'd been there around a long time, well-experienced coach. But it was different, and I would say he was a bit old-fashioned.
This is the previous Cuban coach.
Yeah. That's the only thing I can say. That he was a bit old-fashioned, and some of the Irish boxers I worked with they were telling me, oh yeah, he will hit you with the pass and do this and that, because that was the way it was on before. He was a great coach, but again, in terms of socializing, meeting with the coaches, I was ahead. I was from a different generation, So I used to spend a lot of time with the coaches. Anywhere I went around the island, from way down the south to up the north, down from Banbridge down to Tralee, I would hang around with the coaches and sit and go with them to the bar. It was a tradition to go to the chat in there, and I said, fantastic. So I got on very well with them, and they were very happy, and thanks to God, they were able to understand my English, and so I could pass my knowledge to them, and they got on perfectly. And not only what I was telling them, but what I was able to show, which was always my main issue. I just want to show these guys how to do it, not just the talent. That's not the whole thing. It's just I want them to start doing it differently. And nowadays, it just my heart is pounds big in my chest every time I hear the Irish boxer performing, like the Katie Taylor. Look forward to see on television tonight. I say every time Irish boxers are fighting anywhere, I'm following it. I'm there with it. I'm like a spirit. I'm just there with them. I'm like when the Olympics in Brazil in 2016, like I was full of sadness with this performance. But
do you feel aggrieved or that you're not still involved, or do you feel like there's a lot you could offer the Irish team?
Oh Jesus, it's amazing. That's a long story. I mean, every time I just see the boys competing, I try not to judge anything that has been done by whoever. I mean, every person is different. Coaches would have, we all have a book, and we do things in a different way. There are common things that we have, basic rules that we follow in the coaching, things that are written in textbooks that are proved from the biomechanical point of view, wherever psychological point of view. But, and I feel like, what am I doing here? Why I'm not there with them? I can do this. I can do them. I can show them this. We can do more. Like 1996, I started doing a program that I wanted to follow up, which was meditation, which we had over there, for example, in the Neptune Hotel prior to the qualifying tournament for the Olympics in Atlanta. And God, we did well because we got 5 boys qualified for Atlanta. And we were meditating twice and sometimes 3 times a day. And we had on the team there Francis Barrett, and who found that very strange, having to sit still. But it did work, and he went to carry the Irish flag during the opening ceremony of the Olympics in 1996, which I was very proud of. And such a pity I couldn't go with them because my country vetoed me from going with the Irish team, and it was such a pity. It was such a pity because we have done so far so much work. I actually ran the former president of the association at the time, Felix Jones, and I said to him, look, there's potential in the teams for medals, but if I am not there with them, nothing is going to come back. It's not that I was better than anybody else. It's just that they had got used to work with me. They finally accepted sitting still to meditate beside the savage training session that we were doing over there to get their mind right. We're sitting at the table. We're not allowed to talk with anybody. It was chewing the food loads of time. Minimum time was like 20 minutes eating the food. So I had to chew the food. So we went there. We did a complete transformation. My belief at the time was, not at the time, nowadays, and always it was, that it's just that you win by piecing together different elements together. It's just not one thing. It's just a number of things together, a number of things that need to be done right for you to get over to the top. And nowadays it's more difficult. Why? Because the standard in a lot of countries has gone up. Before, you never heard of India or Brazil or Ecuador competing, and now they are producing and winning medals at the Olympics. But now the gap between the winner and the loser is very narrow. And how Can you determine a winner? How was your night's sleep? How is your mind? How is it? Not the food that you are eating, but how are you eating it? It's just little details. When you put them all together, that gives you a winner, that gives you a champion.
I remember in 2000 training with you for European Championships, and you told me that when you see the best boxers, they eat their portion small because they're managing the weight, but they take their time, and so they're not full before they realize it. And it always stuck with me that, and I used to watch all the best fighters, especially the Cubans and Russians, and they would be doing that. You spoke about meditation. It's played a big role in your life. I can remember it's at the same training camp, we'd wake up at 7 a.m. for a morning run, and we'd come out and you'd be standing there like this, still as a statue. And the people who used to work in Gorham's time would look and say, "What's he doing?" And we would say, "I don't know." But meditation has played a huge role in your life and still does.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I have to say that, in a way, besides all the other things that have saved my life, and I mean my life not getting lost in the wind, I mean mentally, the stresses and different things that we all go through in life, because things don't supposed to be easy. Everything is difficult, and that's the way it is. And so we just have to deal with different things and to cope. It's just sometimes the way we deal with it, and sometimes the circumstances that we find it. It's just like causes and consequences. That's what's happening, and then not all times are the same. Like some coaches want to do a certain thing. Well, that's okay this time and this place, but over there may not be working the same. So we have to bear in mind that as human beings we are all different, and if we are all different, every single thing that's out there, because this is in the book that is good to be done, it doesn't necessarily mean that it will be good for me. Maybe it will be detrimental to the development of my career. So, but to me, it is helping a lot. And what I was trying to prove to the boxers, and this was my a mission during that time. That started in 1996. I want to prove Great Britain was not very successful in qualifying for the Olympics in 1996. If I'm not mistaken, they had only one boxer. We had 5. The qualifying tournament in Denmark, it was savage. All these former Russian republics that were there. So it was very difficult to win, but the Irish team was unstoppable. Unstoppable. That was the way it was. It was the strength. Why? Because it was the mental thing that we did. And then those boys, then when I left them, it was about a month before they went to a training camp in Miami to head into Atlanta for the Olympics. They found themselves without me, and I just could see, we just look at each other. The day that I left there, the Neptune Hotel, and I knew that there was a big loss.
The reason for you not traveling, were you vetoed by Ireland or by Cuba?
By Cuba. The Cubans actually wrote a letter, or sent a letter to the president of the Boxing Federation to the Irish Amateur Boxing Association, asking them to drop me off the team. Because I had left them in 96. I was conducting a seminar there in Puerto Rico. When I finished, Brendan, the president of the association, the Irish Association of the time, contacted me, and I said, "Yeah, I'll be over to prepare the team." But that didn't go down well with the Cubans, because they wanted me to come back to Cuba after having done the seminar in Puerto Rico. But besides that, they didn't want me to come to Ireland anymore. And the reason was because Michael Cruz beat a Cuban in the final in 1992 Olympics. And then now, being the Olympics in Atlanta, which was a little bit of friction between Cuba and America because of political reasons, they didn't want coaches that were with countries who could take medals off them. So Nicolas is with Ireland. Ireland have already beaten Cuban at a major competition. He's not to be there anymore. We'll bring him back. So they got very annoyed with me because I came over, and that was what generated a lot of problem after that, and my frustration in terms that I couldn't be with the Irish team. And at that time it was just like, come on, what happened? Is the association taking order from the Cuban? And I really got very emotional, and I started thinking a whole lot of things. Why are they doing what the Cubans are asking them to do? I'm here supporting with them. I'm with the Irish now, and they are letting me out of the team. Wow, that drove me mad those days, because it was just like, I done it for the Irish, and now they're letting me behind. Wow. But anyway, so it's just like everything, you have to put it behind. That's what it's tough. That's the way it goes. And there was a hard time that I had there, suicidal thoughts during that time. It was difficult. I was up and down. So
basically, they brought you from Puerto Rico to train the team, and then when the Cubans say stop, they don't back you, and they don't send you or back you and back themselves, really. They kind of gave in to the Cubans.
That was it.
And they kind of, where did that leave you then, kind of on the outside?
It let me lost in a way that because the funding that was there, I think it was from the Olympic Council for foreign coaches, it was gone, because then there was no expenses to cover, no money to cover my expenses. So therefore, I ended up living in the gym and cleaning floors and all that, which it's okay, it's okay. I mean, anybody has done that, but what really annoyed me at the time, because that didn't kill me, I enjoyed doing that. I remember seeing Stephen Reynolds from Sligo, and I said, how do you do the mopping with that footwork, walking back? And I said, that's what's helped to improve footwork. You don't have to worry that I was on the move. So I was just making fun of it, It's a physical work. It doesn't kill you. It's something, it gives you a lesson, But again, what I was angry and disappointed was that everything failed. We got an agreement. We never got it on paper. That I was looking after the team, training, taking the team over there, and all of a sudden I'm off the team. I'm not off the team because of indiscipline. It's just because somebody else is saying, look, get him out of the team, and say, why is that?
Yeah. You're quite philosophical about it, and seem you're not bitter, or you've just kind of accepted it.
Well, yeah, I have to put it behind, because
what can you do, yeah.
if I just keep getting angry about it, which I did at the time, then it's going to be only doing damage to me. And then, I ended up, I wanted to take my life and hang myself up over there, and had a rope prepared and all that. But then, forgive them, put it behind. And then I speak very highly of the Irish Athletic Boxing Association, all what they did throughout the years, and I thank them for giving me the opportunity to come here to this beautiful country and do the work that I did, all that. So I just look at that in a positive way now. I have no resentment, hold on anything against anybody. That's perfectly fine. I wish I could, with everybody in this country or anywhere that I had a disagreement and everything, that I could and shake hand, and that's it, because that's who I am. I'm a human being that makes mistakes like anybody else, but I don't go out there, set myself to do anything intentionally. And this is what happened with boxing during those years, I had a dream, and I wish I had that opportunity one day to turn things around, because I feel myself capable and able to do it again and again. Whether I do it better than anybody else, I don't want to say a word about that. What I have, the things that I have, I know how far I can go, because that's what it is. That's what got me in my country, whenever I work with any boxers there as well, and here, and the ability that I know. I mean, there's a big 90% of the work needs to be done mentally with the athlete of any sport. If you get that part right, then it's very difficult to stop. And you can see it in the eyes. And if you have the talent, that potential to see it in the eyes and face and the expression of the athlete, the competitor, then you can lead that person to win and to be a champion.
Who was one of the most talented? Who's the most talented boxer of one of a few of the most talented boxers you've worked with in Ireland?
Well, in a nutshell, I have to say,
besides me,
Wayne McCullough. Oh, it's just like we were once to talk in the world with around the world with a probably Muhammad Ali, but this is a weight division. See, our sport has weight divisions, and then who is the one that you say? Well, you say Sugar Ray Leonard and Ray Robinson, So I have to say here in those lightweights, because he was amazing, as Eric Morales, the very famous Mexican fighter, said to Wayne McCullough, he's unstoppable. I hit him with everything, and I have sore hands, and he's still there in front of me, right? So Wayne McCullough was one of those amazing ones. I remember Harry Robinson getting tired doing pads with him, holding the pads, and I had to step in, right? And then at another weight up, moving up, I had to say Michael Carruth because his ability, he was clever. He was right-hander, and he would box as a left-hander, and he was a very, very clever. And then I had to say that one of the best ones as well that I met was one boy from a club, a very humble club in Limerick called Andy Lee, and he was amazing. And then I was down there, I think it was in the year 2000, down in the campus of the university with the Irish team training there in the centre, in the sports centre, and he approached me to see if I could look after him and do a few sessions with him. And I said, well, you have to hang around there till they finish with the session, and I will do that. But it was not allowed. No boxer outside the team could come up there to train. But I just spotted it on the face. This boy is hungry. He wants it. So you hang around there, and I look after you. So, but what I was fascinated was just a couple of years, I think it was, a couple of years after, there is Andy Lee in Cuba winning, I think, the World Junior Championship.
Silver medal, unfortunately. Lost to the Cuban.
Well, I heard that it was an injustice. That, it was just like a hometown decision. Exactly what Michael Carruth got over there. And so many, the list is endless of, as I would say, beautiful Irish boxers. Beautiful to watch. Great skill. Nowadays, we have a different generation of boxers based on this beautiful skill. Michael Conlan, Katie Taylor. It's just, they're full of skills, tactical. The tactical thinking is amazing. Like before, you could see the boxers from that previous generation, those years in '88, that they were good to watch, but you can see the difference now. There are more elements that have been added to their repertoire. So they're great fighters, fantastic, and the coaching level. I think the coaching level is like never seen before. And the different grading that they have now. Level 1, level 2, 3, and this has allowed them to see that there are things in the book. In those years, I come here and I'll talk about things like morphology and the psychology of the sport, or that we needed camcorder, or that we needed to do some studies about biomechanics and just what they wouldn't look at my face. They would look at my face and say, "What is he talking about?" Nowadays, all the coaches, they know about that. They know, and then those are the elements that are needed to be exploited, to be able to win, to be able to dominate at a high level, because there are other countries that they have been exploiting those services for a long time. The Germans, the Russians, the Americans, and the Cubans. So we are among the strongest nation. The haul of medals that comes every time Ireland goes to the competition is amazing. It's great to watch. Great excitement. Now Ireland is not anymore about right at the back there, the little one, the little Mickey Mouse. Not anymore. The Mickey Mouse. Ireland is among the best competing. They're at the top, right? So the only thing that we're missing now is the gold medal from the boys at the Olympic. Right. So I had a dream, but I'm not gonna let the cat out of the bag on that one. But I had a little dream of 2020. But I have to leave it there on that.
Okay. You tell me when the cameras are off. You spoke about the power of psychology, the mentality of a fighter and of a person, and it's all in the mind. You spoke to me earlier about being in a dark place. You mentioned having a rope. Anyone can find themselves in a dark place, and we've all been there. But how do you pull yourself out of that when you've gone to those dark places? And what's your method, or how do you find the strength to pull yourself out of that?
It's very difficult. It's not like 1, 2, 3. or something that you will find in a book and like a rule that will apply to everyone. No, it will be all different. It will be some, So one thing is just what we just set in the mind as a goal. As a goal, what do I want? Do I really want it to come back? So that desire to stay and to be good for humanity, to provide something, to go to work, that then becomes in an incentive that will motivate you to come out. But otherwise, if it doesn't exist that drive, then you're floating there, you're wandering around in the water, But you have to get yourself grounded, like thinking, I'm gonna come out because I'm gonna be useful to these people, to the others that are there. I'm going to help them. I'm going to do my best. So when then there's a desire, there's a strength there from inside. It's just like a divine force that will bring you up from there and help you bring you up.
Giving back, is that your role now in terms of working in the prison system? Is that what you see as giving back?
Giving back in the classes and everyone that I come across and where I work.
You teach yoga, Spanish and boxing?
And boxercise, yeah. And so that is just everyone to me is a human being. I just call them my students, and then I feel so joyful as well working with them and seeing that I can help them come out of a difficult situation, or having a talk, or work out with them in the class, and I feel that they are happy to come back again, and then I feel like I'm okay, I'm doing good with this, and so I see their progression in the class, just like that, in terms of emotions, how they are responding, because I already know that they are in a difficult situation. That doesn't matter how difficult my situation could be, I'm not where they are. So it is more difficult for them where they are there, and what may come after that, what's there looming in the future for them. So what in their present tense, walking in front of them in the class, I'm going to make a difference. This is what comes in my head every time I walk into a classroom with them. I say, I have to make a difference.